Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/JustNoMil. In today's episode, my JNMOM lied to family for years about me, but gets embarrassed and blames me when we have a virtual family reunion because I'm the opposite of what she told everyone else. MIL disowning us for having a small intimate wedding. Is this normal? The list of abuses my wife endured at the hand of JNMOM as a kid doesn't seem like it can get any longer. But here we are. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. My JNMOM lied to family for years about me, but gets embarrassed and blames me when we have a virtual family reunion because I'm the opposite of what she told everyone else. My JNMOM was literally cancer the 21 years I lived at home. She made my life hell, and because of her I ended up so depressed and stressed out a lot. I was a bit overweight and she always made fun of me for it. I could never hold down a job when I was younger, because of self-esteem issues and my depression, but I was constantly called lazy. At the age of 21 I moved out, I stayed with friends, worked on my mental and physical health and for myself a decent job. I feel amazing now. 4 years later I have a great friend circle and a boyfriend who fully supports me in any way. I have been in NC with my mom for the last 4 years and some family I don't talk to either. One of the reasons why is because they always took my mom's side and believed her, because she made me out to be this demon child, but she had no idea how I could be as horrible as I was. I only speak to my grandparents, who witnessed some things she did to me months before I moved, and cut her off. Plus they didn't want to get into any drama in the family anyway. And a cousin who, being a witness to this when we were younger, was someone who I also stayed in contact with. Throughout those 4 years mom continued to lie about me. I kept putting on weight, I had no job, I was homeless, I tried breaking into her home multiple times, I had assaulted her, so forth. But just last month did my grandfather reach out and told me that he had heard what my mom had been saying, and told me that they were doing a virtual family reunion in January. I should join in and prove everyone wrong. My cousin also told me to inconveniently sit somewhere in my house where my boyfriend would be, because apparently I still couldn't get a boyfriend. So the big day arrives. I was 5 minutes late on purpose, and the look on people's face was hilarious. That's when people started questioning my mom, and my mom ignored every question, and made up the excuse that I'd had some work done. That's when I said, no, this has been me for 3 years, all the news you were getting on me was from the women who, like a lot of you, I haven't spoken to you in years. This woman lied, she has degraded me my whole life, and still does it, because that's all she can do with her life. That's when my boyfriend walked into the kitchen and everyone freaked out more when I told them he was my boyfriend, and he gave a friendly wave in the background. My mom was literally had a death stare going on. People started questioning my mom again. She didn't answer anyone, and then said, I don't need to answer anyone, before she left on her end. Later on I found out from my cousin who heard from her mom, that my mom had a full-on meltdown, because I had the audacity to sit in there and be all smug, and how I should have stayed away because now there are problems within the family and it's my fault. But this only comes back to her being embarrassed and being called out on her lies. I call that a comeback. You shoot your shot just by saying F***CKU with a smile and your boyfriend's wave. Take my virtual applause. The best revenge? Living well without you. I'm proud of you. I don't need any lamb sauce, because this dish is more excellent than I could ever describe. It sucks that she treated you this way, and I'm glad to hear how much better you are doing. I don't usually like your usual revenge stories, because there is usually some form of disproportion to the revenge itself. Not here. This was a guilt-free justice boner. Your only action to kick off her comeuppance was existing. Good for you. This should have a success flair, because you just completely proved your mother wrong by showing up. It's gonna be real hard for anyone in your family to believe anything she says after this. You truly won here. It has to be your fault, because a narcissist can never ever possibly be at fault, guilty, or wrong. I cannot understand why someone would set about poisoning their own child's life, but it is shockingly common. Is the only way they can build themselves up is to tear someone else down? If so, that's one sad-ass excuse for a human being. Some people should never be allowed to have children. Your JNMOM is one of those people. Congrats on overcoming her, OP. Do it every chance you get. Karma, and the best part, you delivered it with honesty and courtesy. The living proof that frequently the best revenge is simply living your own best life. It has been said that the best revenge is to live well. MIL disowning us for having a small intimate wedding. Is this normal? My husband and I decided to have an elopement wedding where we would invite our parents, sibling, and grandparents and then have separate receptions with the families later. We have been wanting to get married for a while now, and had to hold off for nearly 2 years at MIL's insistence. We're coming up on the time we compromised with her and are now wanting to make it happen. The only issue is that none of my family would be able to travel so far to make it, and neither of us want a big wedding. We have been planning it and it kept getting out of hand. We were trying to please everyone, and so we both got to the point where we decided to just do what we want to do. We are funding the whole thing, as my family can't afford to contribute and his family won't, so we figured no one could complain about this. Instead of putting everything into a large wedding, we have decided to use our funds for a long honeymoon instead. The only issue is MIL has been threatening to disown us, and since we broke the news, she has not said a word or reached out in any way. Is this normal? What are your thoughts? Does MIL know that disowning you effectively bounces her out of your lives? No grandma visits, no Christmas, no tea day. She needs to be aware and prepared of the consequences. Oh, make sure you drop this info right after you say, okay, have it your way. MIL threatening to disown you? Sorry, but I fail to see the downside of this situation. Isn't that called the trash taking itself out? We have been wanting to get married for a while now, and had to hold off for nearly 2 years at MIL's insistence. Are you guys underage? If not, why in the world are you letting her control when you get married? That having been said, you definitely should not allow her to control how you get married now that you've made your mind up. Honestly, it sounds like she just doesn't want you to get married at all and was actually hoping you'd just break up before she had to bring out the big guns, in other words, disowning you so. No, it isn't normal. If she wants you to have a large wedding, then she needs to foot the bill, otherwise the people paying for the wedding are the only ones who get to have any say. Since his family refuses to contribute, she needs to shut up. Sorry MIL, but this is our day, not yours. This is what we want and what we can afford. Your opinions are noted. Let her do it. Unless you're dependent on her for some reason, let her threaten and pout. Odds are very low she'd follow through, and even if she does, all you've lost is a very difficult, toxic MIL. Have the wedding you want. Have the marriage you want. The only people you need to please are you and your soon-to-be hubby. Congrats, I hope you have a blast. It sounds like she's very controlling, and threatening to disown you is a tactic for maintaining control. I would just ignore her. It sounds like you don't rely on her financially and don't intend to, so disowning you doesn't really have any power. Not normal at all. Go on, get married your way, and live happily ever after. Your MIL has successfully been controlling you. She knows you're a people pleaser. Enjoy her not speaking to you and elope. It's your marriage and your wedding. Her opinion doesn't count. Why are you catering your wedding to her? She's not the one getting married. She's distinctly not doing that. Hence this post. MIL pushed you to wait 2 years, now wants you to wait to plan a big wedding with no $. Either she thinks she can sabotage your marriage through endless waiting, or she is just yanking you around and proving she controls you. Either way, if you want to be married, just go do it. if you live with her or in a place controlled by her, for example rent a house she owns, I'd use the honeymoon dollar you have saved to move out, or she will now try even harder to control you. The list of abuses my wife endured at the hands of JNMOM as a kid doesn't seem like it can get any longer. But here we are. My wife had an appointment with a specialty eye doc appointment yesterday. Within moments of seeing her, she was told, "Oh, you don't need to see me, you need to see a pediatric eye doc. Go down there now." Turns out my wife could have been treated as a kid for yet another thing that JNMOM was likely told about, but didn't think it was important enough, or ignored the reports of related symptoms even to this day. As a result, decades of debilitating migraines and worsening vision. Now we can add an eye surgery to the list of surgeries that she may still need. 20-30 plus years after the issues were found. Pretty sure we were close to 9 months in total recovery time for all the things she may need to have done already. This comes only a few months after finding out JNMOM had maliciously sealed a good chunk of my wife's very important medical records away from around the time she was in foster care. My boys love the gargoyle, but I can't wait for her to crumple to dust. Wait a second? You are allowing your children to be around a woman that medically and in other ways abused your wife? That's horrific, and I'm so sorry to hear this. It must be so hard for her. The one person that should have protected her failed her completely. I watch my partner deal with the psychological damage of his mother daily. I can't imagine the pain of watching him endure such persistent physical damage too. Sending love to you both. Maybe she didn't want to spend money on her / ask your wife if she can get her files through Freedom of Information. I don't doubt that was at least part of it. One of her new doctors suspected a few months ago and had her sign a bunch of stuff. There were a lot of records from many different hospitals nearby that were sealed intentionally. If my wife had not ended up a ward of the state, she would still not have access. It seems likely at this point that the usage of all the different hospitals was intentionally done to hide various abuses she endured. It is possible that it was just done at the nearest hospital to her because she obviously was being moved around a lot. I hate to ask, but what is the eye problem she has? Fellow migraine sufferer with worsening vision problems and a mother who refused to take me to doctors if it was going to cost too much. Diplopia, double vision, caused by her eyes acting independently and a tight muscle that moves one of the eyes. Anisotropia, slight one-sided cross-eyedness. In some cases, a few steroid shots can fix the issue. If surgery is required, it's a simple 15-minute thing. Far out. Who does that to their own child? Nice name for the old bag. Sealed med docs? Didn't get her own daughter treated for anything by the sounds of it. Ugh. I'm sorry for your wife and yourself dealing with all this, but I am glad that your wife has you in her corner. It isn't much, but know we support you and feel free to vent anytime. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.